Nothing. Pam Bondi. Pam Bondi protecting chomos. Hold on. Of the minute. Hold on a second. Of the minute.
Did you already go?
Yeah. Asia, South America, and Trump news, and Iran, and what's up? Hey, what's up, America? Hey, how's everybody doing there? Yeah, I'm not gonna actually talk like that. What's up, America? How's everybody doing? We have some news coming up. What's up, Fort Myers? How you doing? Obviously, we're having a failure to communicate here. SAVE Act will pass, yes. And, well, I don't know. A lot of those senators might be on the Epstein files. Who knows? Supposedly, it should pass. You're banned on there, too? Man, I'm surprised you actually... I mean, they are banning everybody. What's up, Daniel? They are banning everybody on TikTok. So let me just tell you this. I have a friend that's on TikTok still, and he's got like 135,000 followers. And he went on a live stream with this other guy named Midnight who had 680,000 followers, and they banned him with no warning, just like they did me. And he was on a multi-stream thing where it was streaming on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and I think one other thing. And every single platform was fine. What's up, America? How you doing, ADJ? Everybody was fine. Every platform was fine except TikTok. So you were able to talk freely on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, fucking whatever. Especially YouTube is the best. But at the same time, he was banned for the exact same speech on TikTok. So I don't know what's wrong with TikTok. What's up, Kelly? If you want to hear my conspiracy theory thought of it, I would believe that Midnight 123, exactly, Nicole. Now, I would believe that the government bought TikTok to make it worse so they could ban it outright and just get rid of the voice that's going on. Hell yeah, thank you, Miguel. How you doing? So obviously, as we know, one of the bigger stories right now, and we'll get into some of the news here, February 12th, 2026. The big news, of course, is Pam Bondi protecting pedophiles. Don't know really what else I can say about that. She's protecting pedophiles. Thoughts? So the victims, Epstein victims, have come out and said that they're going to create their own list of people that abuse them so that the names can actually get out there and won't be protected. Pam Bondi, DOJ Attorney General, said basically if they give everybody that's a chomo's name to the general public, no, I think they'll do anything. And even if they do release the list, unredacted, which I don't believe they will, they said that they're not going to prosecute anybody. Kash Patel told Congressman Kennedy that there was no trafficking ring. There's no proof of trafficking, even though they've already named 6 co-conspirators. So these piles of shit are trying to hide child molesters, more than likely, because if they give up people like Lex Wessner and all that other shit, they'll go stool pigeon on people that are in the government right now. And they'll say, oh, wait a minute. You have to understand that our continuity of government will be destroyed. Oh, well, hold on a second, Pam Bondi. Let me see your letter quick. Why would our continuity of government be destroyed if child molesters weren't in our government, right? Because they alluded to the fact that the whole system would collapse if they prosecuted. Why would the system collapse if you prosecuted these people? So it makes me believe even more that Pam Bondi is protecting child molesters. Now, never. Fuck that. Now, does that mean all Republicans are child molesters? No. What about Democrats? Here's my thing about the Democrats. The Democrats are trying to get a one-up on Donald Trump with the Epstein files. Fair enough. But the Democrats are not faring any better than Republicans. We already have several very prominent liberal figures that are on the Epstein files, as well as Republicans. So this narrative of Democrats are the saviors and Republicans are the chomos is not correct because the liberal donors are on the list. I don't care for that. What's up, Virginia? So, here you go, baby. So when we look at that and we say, well, what are we going to do about that? Because Democrats and Republicans, mostly billionaires, donors, etc., some politicians are obviously on the list. And those people need to be hanged or thrown into a wood chipper. Said no, what? Who said no? Oh, the Israel thing. So anyway, then we have dealings with Keir Starmer of England. Now there's possible evidence showing that Prime Minister Keir Starmer in England also knew about the Epstein files and covered that up. What's up, Woodsman? I need to stop by your live streams when I'm actually watching them. I've been taking my kid to college today. It's been a shit show. So we have Keir Starmer, Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, knowing about Epstein. You have several people in his government knowing about Epstein. You have various celebrities and government officials, Donald Trump, admitting when he talked to the police that, isn't it though, Woodsman, that he knew Epstein. So who the fuck is Epstein anyway? This is the bigger question to what kind of person slinks around like Rasputin in the courts of the royals throughout the world and the governments of the United States. Very few people other than that, Mossad, very few, here you go, baby. Very few people outside of Satan himself and Rasputin, which I'm still convinced is a demon, can have the jurisdictional authority, if you want to call it that, to have any type of information over Trump, the royal family, including the King of England. Some people say the Queen of England, Osiris. Some people say the Queen of England gave money to Prince Andrew to fight for his freedom. The El Paso shit, yeah, that's kind of up in the air. I'll get into that in a minute. That's a fuck bag right there. It was a party balloon, but now they're saying it's not. They've got images of it. And now it's not a party balloon. So now somebody's lying. So it's either the news or it's the government. Well, we don't know. I'm not exactly sure. Anyway, Island is right next to Disney Island. Yes, I did know that. There's also other people saying that there's another child molester island west of Mexico. Yeah, no shit. Mexican cartels flying drones. That's what I heard. There's some evidence suggesting that there's another island west of Mexico, about 300 or 400 miles, that might be another child molesting island. So if you go into central Mexico, you head west out into the Pacific Ocean a couple hundred miles, there's a random island out there that's had building started on that, and they're saying that that might be the new Chomo Island. What's up, Nana? So you got to remember these people haven't stopped this. But something needs to be done. The chickens are getting restless. We are hearing, and this is very new, that there might be, and I don't know exactly how to say this, anti-child molester billionaire protests, I guess. Yeah, see, it does look like the Nickelodeon logo. No, you're all right, Nana. You're early for tomorrow. Right, honey? You haven't been on long. Yeah, I haven't been on very long. What's up, Cali Gal? So, when I look at this, I say, the people are getting pissed. They want to see these people dead. By the way, the news is not talking about this very much. The Nancy Guthrie story, as tragic as it is, thank you, Nana. What's up, Shermanator? The Nancy Guthrie story, as tragic as that is turning out to be, has dominated all news. The Epstein files have barely been in the news. Only people that have gone on Twitter and TikTok have seen how bad it is. Some YouTube. But every single thing with the Epstein, and it gets worse every day. The Epstein files have been trending on Twitter for about a week, which is nearly unheard of outside of a natural disaster that just keeps going. So, like, this is big news. People are pissed. They're getting more and more upset about it every single day, and nobody seems to give a shit. So, I'm going to reiterate, I think we need to get Ray Built in America here to build some gallows, because he knows what he's doing. And we should take him to Washington, D.C. and get prepared. News owners are on the list. Thank you, BG. What's up, America? And yes, news owners, I believe, are also on the Chomo list. So there's a weird divide going on. You have like this souring MAGA that still exists in its form, but people are starting to turn their back. Then you have this like growing social liberal or socialism, democratic socialism. You have a pushback Democrat Party, and you have a group of growing rhinos that are reverting back to like when George Bush was president. Only he's on the list too, possibly fucking a kid. So we've got 4 presidential presidents in a cover-up with this. Hell yeah, Cali Gal. Yeah, G's Nuts hasn't been around ever since you have blocked him and then tried to find him back. He's never come back. He talks to me on TikTok, yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, we need to get Cheese Nuts over here. Because Cheese Nuts! So we can just do it for fun. So that's what it is. So I already know if I ask you, do you want to prosecute the people in the Epstein files? You're going to say yes, more than likely. Maybe none of you will say no. If I said to you, would you like to hang the Chomos on Epstein's list? Most of you will say yes. If I say, do you want to shoot the Chomos on Epstein's list? Thank you, BG. Most of you will say yes. So the only people, and this is the most fucked up part here, the only people standing in the way of you or somebody setting up the gallows and hanging these people is Pam Bondi and Kash Patel. I just looked for the first time. It's fucked, isn't it? So you have Trump appointees that are charged with going after the Chomos that are on the Epstein list. And instead of doing that, they talk about the Dow being 50,000 and the S&P going to 1,700. And then tell you that there's no trafficking and they're not going to prosecute anybody. Even though they've redacted people and they've openly said eating babies. The last one I talked about or heard about was Epstein and the people associated with him abusing a child still attached to the umbilical cord. No, I'm not on the list. I would have been, 10? When that all started? Did it start in like 1996? So I would have been 14 years old. So unless I'm a victim, no. And I'm not. So, is this ever going to go away? Are they ever going to go after these people? The FBI says no. The DOJ says no. Other countries are arresting people on the Epstein list. And we're not. So we look like a bag of shit. What's up, Nana? Now, having said all that, that changes the motivation and changes what needs to be done. Because unlike the European, is it going wild? Unlike the European governments, which are going after the Chomos, ours is not. So what we need to do as people, if our government's not going to do anything about it, then you and our people need to do something about it. Because let me just put it to you this way. You know how Bill Gates was just on the Epstein list? Well, just 19 hours ago, he was talking about giving, thank you, Nana, $200 billion over to Africa and other countries over the next 20 years. The Gates Foundation just released a video, and he's still talking about going over to Africa. I guess Gates likes the, yes. So that being the case, these people have not gone anywhere. They're still in charge of stuff. They're still in charge of media. They still run shit. They're still going through it. Oh, thank you, BG. Yeah, look at the little fluffy corgi. Hell yeah. So why is everybody saying Australia going off? What, is there a protest or something? Let me see. People marching in support of a fucking child bride marrying pedophiles in Australia. Really? Yeah, we have something going on. February 9th. Australian police beat up anti-genocide protesters. This is in... Oh, that's Brisbane. That's fucking Brisbane, mate. Yeah, there you go. I will never understand how sick people are to protest a man visiting Australia to acknowledge the victims of Bondi Beach attack. So who's going to Australia? Who's the guy? Then we also have, oh, this was last year, tens of thousands of people for Australia Day. You did it. God damn, honey. That's strong. You know it. So that looks like some bad shit's happening there. That's no good. And it looks like Quantico is trending. That can't be good. Sorry, I'm just looking at some of the breaking news real quick before I move on to the day's news. So the glove from the Nancy Guthrie case has been sent to a private investigation firm rather than the FBI at Quantico. That's fucking weird, don't you? That's suspicious. Mm-hmm. That's fucking suspicious. All right, well, let's continue. Let's go through the news of the day. Is everybody, you got to get that hernia repaired. I know. I know. I know. You know, what I need to do is I need to quit smoking weed. That would really make it not a problem, because the only reason it even has a problem, like, it'll nearly feel better and then it'll be fine all day and then I'll start smoking it and then there it goes. So this is obviously the problem. But yes, you're 100% right. What's up, Katie Wood? Hey, if it ruptures, maybe my wife will get death benefits. Huh? What do you think? Then you can go to Hawaii, take my urn, strap it in a little seat. I'm making you pay full fare. Anyway, so, yeah, that's what I need to do. What's up, Katie? Hell yeah. Yeah, that's what I need to do. I think you're right, Nana. It's too much. I've been 3 weeks. I've been 3 weeks. What happened? Oh, yeah. Yeah, the internal pressure will eventually go away. Anyway, United States news saw a mix of policy announcement, political tensions, and economic updates today. Here are the key highlights of the day in the United States and the world. Yeah, no kidding, though. Immigration enforcement changes. The Trump administration announced the end of controversial Operation Metro Surge in Minneapolis, Minnesota, which resulted in thousands of arrests and the deaths of 2 U.S. citizens. Border czar Tom Homan cited the expiration of DHS funding. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, my friend. You're awesome. Tom Homan as DHS running out of money is a factor for leaving Minneapolis amid ongoing protests. Yeah, just do edibles. I think you're right. And scrutiny. A Senate hearing reveals ICE's acknowledgement that the deceased were not terrorists, heightening debate over the operation's tactics. High for 2 days. You see, I got the liquids and stuff, and I've got some gummies. Keep up the good work. Thank you, my friend. What? No, thank you, my friend. I got to play the game to get a better job. Yeah, me too. I'm too new into my other one to go another place for a couple of years. Environmental policy rollback. I kind of like some of this. President Trump, alongside EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin, repealed the 2009 endangerments finding, which classified greenhouse gases as a public threat. The move dismantles the scientific basis for many federal climate regulations, draws criticism from environmental groups like the EDF who plan legal challenges. Also, Donald Trump gets rid of emission standards for vehicles from 2012 to this year and beyond. Now, that part I like. I don't want to pollute America, but I also believe that they've been trying to get greenhouse or carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere too much. That's my stance on that. Now, China's going to challenge that coming up here with China increasing their CO2 output, which is funny because no matter how much the United States and Europe lower their CO2 output, the China and India increase it. So all we're doing is just like sustaining it. It's not necessary. When you look at the atmosphere, I do watermelon sativa. Oh, very nice. Whenever you look at what our atmosphere is comprised of, we've been hearing people bitch about carbon dioxide. And carbon dioxide makes up 0.004% of our atmosphere. It was at 0.003%. Now it's at 0.004%. I did hear that at 0.002%, plants start dying. So, in my opinion, I would like to just lay off removing carbon from the atmosphere for a while and have some stuff that just works and has some power. So, every single vehicle that's sold, when you go up to the red light, it turns your car off. Then when you're about to go, it turns it on because it saves, no more greenhouse gases. But then it fucks the starter up. And as you know, if you were a little kid and you remember in the 80s, they told you not to turn the car off and then on and off because it was worse for the environment and the car that way. So if you were at a quick trip and you just were running into the house, you wouldn't pull up, turn the car off, run inside for 2 seconds, then come back. It will fuck shit up more doing that than leaving the car running. Of course, we were told the exact opposite for quite some time by people who actually worked on engines to make them turn off so that you wouldn't be sitting idle, ruining the environment. Then over the last couple of years, in my opinion, it's been getting hotter and drier, and I think the two might be linked. I would like to actually see more carbon put into the atmosphere. I think I've talked about that before. I don't think there's a difference between too much carbon and sulfur dioxide. You see? I saw that, Alabama. I did see that. Look at how many yeah, and the bugs are all dying, and the bugs, the insects, the bees, and the butterflies. So I personally believe that we need a wetter, warmer planet. Right? Yeah, and we need to take honeybees, we need to mass breed them. We need to take insects, lightning bugs, bees, butterflies, any type of pollinating creature. I say lightning bugs because I like them. And we need to mass breed these. So we need to have colonies of honeybees. We need to not wall off, but put in reserve an area of 100,000 square miles or 80,000 square miles, whatever it is, and designate it bee and butterfly area. And you just breed them. You have little stands and they can breed. You don't take the honey, and you make sure that anybody that fucks with it, they get arrested. And you make sure that you breed bees. That's all you do. Breed billions of bees and butterflies. You know what happens? They'll start to spread themselves over several years. And then you'll start pollinating the world. In my opinion, they took too much carbon out of the atmosphere and they dried the world to the point where everything sucks and is dying. That's my opinion. How much carbon can you remove from the atmosphere on purpose before it has a negative reciprocity? We've already heard about the Gulf Stream potentially fucking up if shit doesn't get right. They're blaming climate change. I don't understand, are billionaires obsessed with putting on a sweater because they want it cold? I don't know if anybody's understood this. We keep hearing how the world is getting warmer. Yet this year, where I live, it was 15 below zero, and we had the largest ice storm in the South that we've seen in fucking decades. It was arguably colder here in central North America than it was in Antarctica. Now you say, well, in Europe, it's getting hotter in the summer. Well, that's because the climate of Africa seems to be drifting north slightly, possibly because you don't have enough enough carbon in the atmosphere. So let's go back to grade school real quick. Everybody, let's take a trip to 4th grade, and let's remember something called the water cycle. Now, Mr. Ocean here likes to evaporate at a relatively constant rate, whether it's 140 degrees or whether it's 65 degrees. As long as there's some type of shining light on it, it will basically evaporate. Thank you, Jay. The submarine. Now, don't get me wrong. When it's hotter, it evaporates more, but it has to be really much fucking hotter to get any noticeable difference. Nevertheless, what happens is the oceans and the waters slowly evaporate. And that turns into something called water vapor. And water vapor is like gas water. I'll just put it to you that way for stupid people. It's like gas water. And that goes up in the atmosphere. And what happens is Mr. Gas Water attaches itself to particles, sometimes sand, sometimes pollution, which is why you don't want sulfur dioxide. No, no, no. But it also attaches to something called carbon particles. Carbon particles. And those add other molecules of water vapor on it until there's enough to make it something that's heavy, that it can't stay in the atmosphere anymore because it weighs too much. And this thing called Mr. Gravity comes in the room and pulls this water particle down. That's called a raindrop. And if it happens enough, it rains a fuckload of them all over stuff. And that raindrop, along with the carbon, maybe it's volcanic ash. And that brings nutrients into something called Mr. Soil. And Mr. Soil grows shit. Things like food, plants, flowers, shit like that. But you see these plants, even if, no, I'm not. It's Chinatown, though, in New York City. When Mr. Plant starts growing, it can grow all day, but it can't grow and manipulate and change and spread without pollination. You see? So you have to have bees and butterflies and all those little happy fucks to go pollinate the shit so it spreads and it gets better. Otherwise, you have a gray, depleted, shitty society where no food exists outside of what's in a laboratory, what's put out there for you. And I don't like climate manipulation or control. I think this is fucking stupid. I don't understand. I mean, maybe they did know it and they just didn't care. The planet operates on something called a homeostasis. So whether you have your planet as a molten ball of rock, or it's a snowball like it's been, or a ball of water, or a jungle, or a desert, there is what do they call it? What's the word I just used? I got too high and I forget. I know, I got too high. Homeostasis, thank you. So if, generally speaking, if it gets dry over here, it'll get wetter somewhere else, right? That's why you're like seeing rain in the deserts in Death Valley, and you're seeing them in Australia. That happens from time to time. Every great once in a while, you'll have massive rainstorms in the Australian desert. Little purple flowers will come up and shit like that. And it happens at a steadying pace more and more. One area that used to be sustainable for life starts to dry up and becomes unsustainable for life. And then a new area over time will become better. So for instance, it would be no shock to me if the desert Southwest became uninhabitable. And it would not be a shock to me if Virginia up through Nova Scotia and Northeast Canada became warmer and could be better habitable. It would not shock me to see a 7.4 earthquake in Chile and then yet another one similar on the other side of the world. Or a typhoon in China outside of it, and then one forming in the Atlantic Ocean while it's dry on the other side of the world. Then that dryness makes its way over here. And then you have a bunch of typhoons and wet seasons over there. What's up, Hollywood? And this is how the pattern of the world works. Now, the water will always be there. You can use, unless something, if you have gets too hot, I guess, it can evaporate it thoroughly, but I don't know if you can get rid of it totally. There's also water underground. I personally would like to believe that we were smart enough to go deeper into the surface of the earth to find more water resources. I've heard that there's possibly oceans under the water that may not be salt water. So I think that I do have a bowl. Honey, can you get a joint?
Yeah, we just put one out.
No, get another one. That was one I made though. This is one they made.
This is a 57% infused.
I know better. That's what I'm talking about. So the way I look at it is that the earth is always going to be in a state of flux. You're in a habitable zone going around the sun, but you're not in the best habitable zone. I don't know if anybody ever told you that. You guys know what a habitable zone is, right? I would love to go there. A habitable zone is, so what you do is you have a star in the solar system, just anywhere, and you have planets that go around it. And there's a habitable zone. So if you have like a red dwarf star, the habitable zone for life to exist will be closer to that star. And if you have like a blue super hot star, you'll have to be way out there. And of course, there's variations of temperature and extremes and all this other shit. But the Earth is in an okay habitable zone. It's not extreme to the point. I think we're extreme like minus 140 and extreme the other way plus like 200 degrees. I think that's basically where our planet sits. And there's some that are better. There's some planets out there that are jungle worlds that could be, theoretically speaking, Yeah, well, yeah, there's a Goldilocks zone. That's even inside the habitable zone. That's where you need to have like life like us existing. And so there's better versions of it, but it's foolhardily to believe there's too many people drinking. Exactly. You need to desalinize and refill the Colorado River. That's 1,000% right. But it's foolhardily to believe that we're a problem on the earth. This planet, Antarctica, used to be a jungle at one point. The Ice Age, like on my TikTok archaeology page, I put up a video about this. On the bottom of Lake Michigan, they found a Stonehenge with a mastodon that's carved into a rock. Now, it was 40 to 60 feet deep. And that's the lakes. That's Lake Michigan. And underneath the water, there is a 10,000-year-old monolith that was clearly used for religious purposes. And there's a fucking mastodon carved in a petroglyph that still exists under the water right now as I'm talking to you. They just discovered it a couple of days ago. They had theories weeks or months ago, whatever. So, at one point, people lived in Lake Michigan, where it is, right where the water is. People were there, dancing, singing, enjoying themselves, worshiping something, fucking. Yeah, it's insane. Lake Michigan monolith. And it's like, what the fuck? Are you serious? And it's like, okay, the climate is always in flux. Always. There's underground caves throughout Central Europe. There's evidence of cities underwater. Parts of Mohenjo-Daro, the cities around or surrounding it, towards the water. One of them's like half underwater. I looked up a map of what the coast looked like before the sea levels rose. There's literally hundreds of miles on some coasts. Europe goes from southern France all the way up to central Norway. All that, the fucking north, that part of the North Sea, the fucking Baltic Sea, all that, all land. All land. None of it was water. 0% of it. You could go from, what's up, Meep? How you doing? You could go from Vietnam and Malaysia all the way to Australia on a land bridge. You could go from Asia to America on a land bridge through Alaska. I mean, we learned about all this in grade school. The Native Americans, they came from China. What the fuck? So everybody's like, well, Native Americans, they were here before Europeans. I'm like, yes, I know. They came from China. They followed the herds. They came from something called the Lapita culture. Thank you, Nana. So Native American blood in them. Fucking duh. Why would nobody know that? They dead up told us that in school. Well, they have long black hair. Do you think? You fucking think so? No shit. It's almost like they came from Manchuria and China and Vietnam. Huh. Interesting. That's fantastic. Mongolian blood, that also, yeah. And we learned about this in grade school. They followed the herds over the Bering Strait, and they made their way all the way down to South America. I just did an archaeology video yesterday about Incan ruins that were like 9,000 to 12,000 years old in northwestern northwestern Argentina. So if you take that, I guarantee it has similarities to some Chinese culture or even some of the original coming from the Americas. Why wouldn't it? Right? Because they brought their culture with. And all that stuff is underwater. A great deal of it is. You can't imagine how many coastal cities. There were other islands. What's up, my friend Jonesy? There were other islands near New Zealand that were the size of New Zealand. I mean, there were total, like in the middle of the Indian Ocean, there were islands that were the size of like, Indiana. And you're like, what the fuck? And it's like, yes. Trade on her feet that's only from Asia. Yeah, exactly. And you can trace it too. I interviewed a 90-year-old woman once that her husband did blood grouping for anthropological firms back in the 50s. They were like in Lebanon and shit. Yeah, it was crazy. What's up, Mark? But I'm glad Donald Trump, I'm glad Donald Trump rolled back those emission standards for cars. So that's good. Lawmakers failed to reach a deal on funding Department of Homeland Security, putting the DHS on the brink of a shutdown. Senate Democrats blocked the funding bill, blaming Republicans for insufficient reforms to ICE protocols. The impacts could affect border security and immigration operations. Wonderful. Economic and jobs report. Yeah, I'll tell you what, man. There is so much. Like, you cannot imagine the resources that we don't have access to. The lost knowledge, the lost cities. Some of these things are priceless. It's ridiculous. Big Giant Park in Indianapolis. Big Giant Park in Indianapolis. There's a Holiday Park. There's one on the north side called Holiday Park. That's fucking huge. That one's a cool one. They have ruins from like old buildings in New York there. I don't know why, but they do. The White House touted a roaring economy, with January jobs adding 100, despite revisions showing 100,000 jobs. Eagle Creek, yeah, that's huge. I actually have been fishing there many, many years ago with my uncle when I was a kid. So we had 900,000 jobs lost in 2025. Goddamn. So hold on a second. So January's job numbers were up 130,000, but for the whole year of 2025, the Trump administration failed to report 900,000 jobs lost. So we gained no fucking jobs this year. Oh, hell yeah. Damn right, dude. I used to have such fucking collections of these things. I still have some. But there's there's so many species. Yeah, we have a K-shaped economy. It's absolutely sickening right now. I need to go into some of that. So the Trump administration said we added 130,000 jobs. They touted that we added 1.4 million jobs, but then revised it to 900,000 fewer. That's our government. I remember. That's it. Well, how many people died? 700,000. Oh my God, that is some fucking 1960s cover-up shit. God damn. Holy hell. Our country's fucked. Jesus Christ. We might as well want to pack it all in and move down to Costa Rica. Yes, we are Costa Rica. I would never say Costa. Mm-hmm. They have those little spider monkeys. I don't speak Spanish, but I'll learn. And my wife is hot. So, got that beach to banya on. Nothing? Anyway, health and weather updates. HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. enhanced his team to advance Trump's Make America Healthy agenda. God damn. Meanwhile, California and Nevada faces ongoing drought, though precipitation is expected soon. What's up, Hero? Other notable stories: PBS NewsHour covered Trump and morality. The View discussed Pam Bondi and Jeffrey Epstein, and actor James Van Der Beek, as you know, died not too long ago. I like the repeal of the greenhouse gases for cars. The jobs numbers are sickening. I'm disappointed with Donald Trump. I think most of us are pretty much in that boat right there, especially with the child molester thing. That's pretty rough. Here you go, honey. And I know Pam Bondi was like, oh, no, he's been cleared. Everybody, they're just like, oh, no, it says I didn't do anything. It's like, I think it says the exact opposite of all that. I think it says you got a Hummer from an underage girl is what it says. I mean, refresh my memory here, but I don't know how that's getting away with it, or what do they call that? Not being implicated. Maybe I'm the stupid one. I don't know. Maybe that's not what I read. Maybe I shouldn't believe my eyes. Maybe I should believe what the news says and not my eyes. That's fine, I guess. Yeah, so if I read something that says, hey, this government official's a child molester, and they're like, no, you didn't see that. And I'm like, oh, okay. And there are people out there that are just like, yeah, okay. And it's really a fucked up thing. Nobody's talking about it. I'm going to keep talking about it. People on TikTok are talking about it. People here on YouTube are, but in the media, it's like it doesn't exist. So I'm waiting for the protests to come and people to start killing these fucks. Anybody starting to get that going, or what are we doing here? Anyway, USMCA trade pact uncertainty. Yeah, it's the worst I've seen with the gaslighting there. USMCA trade pact uncertainty. President Trump is privately considering exiting the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement, which he negotiated in his first term. This adds uncertainty to ongoing review, with Republicans saying support for renewal amid tariff threats. U.S. agriculture groups launched a campaign backing the deal, emphasizing benefits to rural America. I don't have a problem with Canada. Like, I don't know what this shit is with Canada. Like, I understand, look, okay, I get it. Justin Trudeau was a piece of shit. All right? He was a fucking little fucking cunt. All right? I understand. If I could fight Justin Trudeau, I'd like to. Like, there's just something insufferable about him. Like, I never really had a problem with Canada. It's not like they're rude like French, right? And no skin off the back to the French, but like, you got to quit blaming the American people for everything the government does. So first of all, if you're from Europe, first of all, stop blaming actual Americans for what the government does. You do realize we can't do anything, right? It would be like we're on a plane and the guy's driving it into a mountain and you say, hey, don't crash. And I'm like a passenger on passenger 57. And I'm like, oh yeah, hey, I'm supposed to fix the plane to not crash when I'm not at the fucking controls. Right? So particularly if you're from France, Germany, Benelux nations, or Nordic countries, the general population does not have a say in the presidency and what he does. Only like, what, 35% of people vote? And you say, well, why is that? Well, have you seen our candidates? If you have, okay, so for Europeans, you have like 7 choices when you go to vote. Right? So I don't want to hear any guff from you fucks. Because if you go to an election in France, you'll have 6 fucking candidates. Everything from hard right conservative down to hippy dippy baloney shit. What do we have here? Middle of the road neocon A and middle of the road soft communist B. That's what our choices are. So we've got middle right and hard but not super hard left. Anything else, you don't get a voice. Fuck you. Suck my dick. It's like, well, I'm a social libertarian. Oh, sorry. Here's the place for you. Right over there in this corner, fuckface, right here. And you say, well, I don't want the Republicans or the Democrats. Yeah, you can go sit in this corner. Spin on it, suck a dick, dumb shit. BoJack Horseman. Here you go, baby. And you say, well, no, here in France, we'll protest. Great, they don't shoot you either. It's like when you have corporations running the country, you don't have a say. Even if you took out the government, the corporations, you have to take it out to full. And if you do, the means of production fails. So then your communist utopia won't even exist. And you say, well, let's tear down the system. Yeah, they are. So let's tear down the system and let's reinvent it. Well, you have to be willing to do some dirty shit, and you are not willing to do that. And as long as you remain unwilling to take out your government through protest, targeted, whatever the fuck, then you really don't have any je ne sais quoi behind whatever you're saying. So I can sit here all day and say we need to go after the Epstein pedophiles. First of all, we have to know who the Epstein pedophiles are. So far, we have a bunch of black squares. Everybody that raped kids, apparently, his name is Black Square. Though I've seen the old French protests, yeah, and the hooligan riots up in England. Oh, dude, I'm very privy. Even in Italy, believe it or not. Greece, they were storming the parliament. That's why I don't, when Democrats are like, well, January 6th, it was a sad day. I'm like, I have seen the Greek parliament stormed, the Nepalese parliament stormed, the Indian and Sri Lankan parliament stormed, at least a dozen in Africa since I've been alive, 3 or 4 in South America, and I think once or twice, yeah, they even tried fucking with Tiananmen Square. And it's like, look, I have seen all this. January 6th is not shit. Jesus Christ. Well, it's like the politicians keep talking about it because they were there and people were coming to kill them. So they're like, oh, well, I was there. It's like, great. It wasn't that bad, really. Here you go. And comparatively speaking, I've seen parliaments on fire. Several. I mean, just the most recent in Nepal. Right? I've seen the Ukrainian parliament on fire at one point, if I recall. It's like, look, this notion that you don't have to change a government, I don't know why you believe that. All right. I don't understand why you believe that you're not entitled to throw the braggarts out and install a new government. I mean, did your balls drop off? What are we doing here? Because I've heard, oh, America, we have the right to revolution and protest. Great, you're protesting against ICE. You're protesting against, women's rights, BLM, abortion. So why are you not protesting these people? Unless you like elite pedophile, child molester, baby eaters. If you like that, is that where your pleasure is? Is that where your sickness is? If that's the case, I don't know what to tell you. The little... So we need to get on the ball here, but you're afraid of, if I protest, I'll get my meager possessions removed. If we protest, they will what? They'll what? Make your life more difficult financially? Is that what it is? They're going to make your life more difficult financially? You worried about getting shot? Is that what it is? Go somewhere else and do what you're doing. I'm in America and I'm an American. Fuck you. I have the right to protest. There's nothing more patriotic than protesting. And I'd support your right to protest. Suck a dick. How's that sound? You have to understand something. Even if the liberals are out there protesting, the no kings, stupid ass bullshit, they're patriotic because they're doing it. We had a revolution and killed people over taxes. How dare you go against the government? How dare you fucking suck their dick? What are you doing here? So you're more loyal to the party? You're more loyal to the man than you are to the fucking country? Is that what it is? That's not what we were supposed to be. That's fucking like Nazi bullshit. Now, I'm not saying, well, Trump's not a Nazi. I didn't say that. But I'm saying that Trump's DOJ is covering up pedophiles. That's what I'm saying there. You know what I'm saying? I realize I won an Olympic medal. Hell yeah, very nice. I believe it or not, I knew a guy. His last name was Nix, N-I-X, and he won a gold medal at the Los Angeles Olympics. He was this big black dude. Yeah, and I can't remember what his first name was. N-I-X. Yeah, he was fucking cool, man. He had his shit together. So Epstein file news. Latest Epstein file reveals that Israeli billionaire Leon Black raped a 7-year-old in bitter privates and inserted sharp objects. There you go. That's according to a redacted Epstein file. A partially redacted Epstein file. Fantastic. Wonderful. Lost Vietnam, Afghanistan, Iraq. War for Independence, lost the invasion of Canada. We didn't invade Canada. Nobody gave a shit. And the War for Independence, we did not lose that. As a matter of fact, I think we fucked the British up twice. But you did burn the White House. But Andrew Jackson and his army in New Orleans shot a bunch of British soldiers after the declaration of peace had already happened. But yeah, Cassius outside right now. You know what I'm saying? Like if you went England versus the United States toe-to-toe right now, it would be, you know what? As long as we would deport some of the fucking Muslims you brought over, I'm sure it would make the country a lot happier. Oh, that's nice. There's people in cages. I just want to know when we're going to be taking these Epstein people out. Here's Epstein dancing with young girls that are obviously, imagine being sex trafficked where if you escape, they'll kill you, right? And here we go. Look at this. News update, New York City. Zohran Mamdani has actually made a promise happen. New York City's first free grocery store, the Poly Market, is officially open. No shit. The Poly Market is officially open. It's a medium-sized grocery store featuring fruit, vegetables, milk, and all the basic needs. I'll put a video about this on TikTok. That's actually kind of crazy. I'd like to see some more pictures of that, actually. I don't know if it's got to... Because if it's free, is there any reason to rob then? So, like, if you have a free grocery store...
No, people will find a way to take advantage.
That's what I'm saying. If it's a free grocery store, then robbing it is not, like, what would you be stealing? Right? You know what I like to say? Foods that are...
I'm sure they put limits on what you can get.
I would hope so, yeah. Foods that are like food... What do they call them? The misfit foods? The bananas that are like shaped weird, or the packaging that's wrong or whatever. There's like millions of pounds of that go to waste every year. I think we should give that. So like if you have... There's actually a company that sells misfit food is what it's called. It's called, I can't remember maybe it's called misfit food. And you can get like a box of like odd shaped oranges or something, or like odd shaped apples that didn't grow just right or whatever. And you can have those. I think you should give those away for free. You can get a shit ton of it really cheap and make giant grocery stores with it. And then there's also, misfit foods. Look it up. And then there's also, and it's much cheaper. I need to go get that myself, actually. And then there's, like in France, they say like the old food, you don't throw it away. What you do is like the restaurants, because I've worked at many restaurants in my past. And the restaurants, what they'll do, like I worked at a German restaurant once, and they had giant things of sausages and all kinds of food. And they would just throw it out. Like we would take whatever we wanted home, and then like literally a third to half the food was thrown in the fucking garbage. And I'm like, man, that sounds like a large waste. There's literally homeless people like 4 blocks over from the restaurant, and you're throwing like, 1,400 pounds of food a fucking quarter out. That's very fucking wasteful. We could take that and get it to somebody who can drive with a van and collect all the meals from different restaurants, and then you go give them out to people, and the homeless can go to certain stations. Let's say you said any restaurant that serves X, Y, or Z people or whatever, like the bigger restaurants, not necessarily the mom and pop ones, but you take all your leftover food, and these trucks will come and pick it up at night. They pick the food up. They even take the food, whatever you have, and they put it into meals. Right? Then you could go have the homeless people meet at certain locations in the major city, and these van and people come out and they give the food. I've already seen people do this with vans in the city I live, where they stop and they'll get out of the van and they have like, 90 meals or whatever. And they sit there and already just pass them out. And those people get paid by somebody to go do that, usually a nonprofit. If it was a public service, but that would take actual work and all this other stuff. And a lot of people don't like to do work, which is funny. I say that because if everybody's been doing this bullshit with AI, well, then guess what? You could put free meals in robots and have it drive to central locations, and you wouldn't need somebody driving around. What you could do is once we normalize the AI and robotic systems, see, isn't it great? And you can take the robotics and you can put the little carts that smart know where they're going with GPS. You can put like 50 meals in it and drive it to a location. One guy gets it out and just distributes it, and then it goes. And it's like, holy shit. Yeah, and there's all kinds of the Misfits food things. It's very difficult. Let me go look that up, actually. Yeah, Misfit Market. That's what it's called. Misfit Market. Groceries sourced for flavor, not appearance. That's what it's called, honey. Farmers are pushed to grow for looks, wasting 40% of food. So they take that food that's edible and is good, but isn't sold for the look of it, and they sell it to you for cheaper. So how it works. So according to this right here, Misfit Market. This is just, I want to see what they have here. Hold on a second. So basically what Misfit Market does is it goes to farms, it sources from farms and other retailers or other producers, I should say, of various products. And like I said, if the packaging is like off center, so you'll have a perfectly good bag of chips, right? 100% good. But the label is off to the right, like 3 inches by accident. Maybe the guy, it was his first day or whatever the fuck it is, right? So they take those chips and they say, well, the label's not on center, so we have to throw them all out. And it's like, dude, what the fuck? Really? I'll buy an off-center label. What the fuck is wrong with you? Well, we want an appearance to look centered. It's like, but the product is still good. You're just wasting the fucking product. Anyway, industrial agriculture is detrimental to the environment. Animals are raised for efficiency instead of welfares. Small markets are shut out if they can't pay for shelf space. Blah, 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 blah. So, the food they have, let me see what they have here as far as their food is concerned. They have, so listen to this. They have fresh produce, meat and seafood. So, honey, this place, Misfit Market, they'll sell like fucking T-bone steak, but the label's off. They sell it for less than half price. Dairy and eggs, pantry staples, snacks, beverages, reused and upcycled, plant-based, gluten-free pet, wine. They sell wine with the label wrong. And so that's fucking crazy. And apparently they have their own shit. They source their shit from farms. They support small brands. And they support sustainable farming and sustainable fishing, actually. And they also have kiwi there. So, I am surprised that they have that. Now, I haven't been able to, so here's examples. They save 5,200 pounds of chocolate annually. So this company saves 5,200 pounds of chocolate from going to the landfill thanks to broken up chocolate bars. So chocolate bars, they're like cracked. 5,200 pounds of that cold pressed orange juice. They saved 181,000 pounds of orange juice every year from going to the landfill. And they saved 78,250 pounds of rice going to the landfill because of packaging mistakes. Only packaging mistakes. They get Annie's, you know that company Annie's, honey?
Uh-huh.
They have stuff from Annie's. They have, was it Toonie's chocolate? They have King Arthur's? No shit. Organic Valley LaCroix? Really? No shit. But you have to sign up to shop, it looks like. So I don't like that. I want to see Food waste impact, blah, 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 blah. Reviews and press. I want to see. Oh, they have wine. Our wine delivery has arrived. They also have wine. You can shop their wine. That's fantastic. They want you to sign up for it, though. Okay, so here's what we got. Organic strawberries are 25% off. Meadow Reserve boneless ribeye steak is 27% off. Brussels sprouts and milk are 20% off. Seedless watermelon is 17% off. Turkey is 28% off. Bread, take and bake bread, honey, don't eat it raw, is 25% off. Goldfish crackers are 20% off from the store because the Goldfish crackers label is faded, honey. So the Goldfish crackers label was faded because the ink wasn't as strong, I guess. So 20% off for that. 50% off zucchini, 27% off apples, 28% off flatbread, and 78% off Red Hot Blue potato chips. I don't think I'd like those though. So it seems, yeah, it's probably why. Yeah, exactly. So it seems like something I would be into at least. Trying that would be fantastic to see. But I think it's a good idea as long as people don't rob you. So we have new polling showing that Donald Trump's approval rating is now lower than Joe Biden's approval rating at his lowest point. Wow. Realtors are now saying that the housing market is in collapse. I say let it fucking crash. Fuck the goddamn housing market. House sales were down 8% last month and 6% over the year, signaling that the housing market is starting to cool. I think that the housing market needs to collapse and the prices need to drop by 50%. I don't give a fuck if the housing market collapses. If house prices drop by half, fuck you. You want to know why? First of all, I can't own a home because every time I've saved money, the price keeps going up. It's like chasing a fucking bus that's gaining in speed. I can't grab the handle because every time I save money, the price goes up. So median home price in January is $400,000, up 0.9%. Inventory came down, but was still up 3.4%. I hope the housing market collapses and the prices, yay, exactly, yay, the Dow's 50,000, the rich are stunningly wealthy, exactly. Middle class forced to sell their plasma as affordability crisis spirals in the United States. A growing number of Americans are rolling up their sleeves and selling their blood or plasma to stay afloat as Donald Trump's economy tightens purse strings. Across the country, plasma centers are reporting steady traffic from middle-class workers who say rising costs and weakened job prospects have pushed them to trade their plasma for cash. An estimated 200,000 people a day, 200,000, honey, listen, do you hear this? 200,000 people a day are selling their plasma as now part of a multi-billion dollar industry that buys the blood components so it can be used in medical treatments. NBC News reported that Ian Pleasant, 43, from Holmes, Pennsylvania, is getting $65 on a prepaid card for plasma. He's saying he's making enough money doing DoorDash to keep up with bills, but everything else in his house he has to supplement with his plasma. Last year, Americans made an estimated $4.7 billion selling 62.5 million liters of plasma, more than 30% more than 2022, says a professor at Georgetown University, Peter Jaworski, no shit, who studied the ethics and economics of the plasma business. The transactions take place more than at 1,200 plasma centers, now more numerous than Costco stores, with new locations opening up by strip malls and college towns. I think around where I live, there's at least 2 plasma centers. Despite data showing a relatively stable economy, many donors say that they are forced into new calculations to survive. Quote, I'm angry that I'm working this much, that I'm educated and articulate, that I have marketable skills, and that I'm reduced to selling my plasma, says Jill Chamberlain from Phoenix, Arizona, after being laid off from a job overseeing the finance of local business in 2024. She went from making $87,000 a year to $16 an hour. Man, I know that feeling. Hey, that happened to me. That happened to me twice, actually. I was ashamed at first, but now I'm angry. This is not how things are supposed to be. We always heard the middle class was disappearing, but really, really quickly, the rich are getting so much richer, and the rest of us are getting poor. In Fresno, California, Aaron Rigetney began selling plasma to cover debt and bills. Because the economy is what it is right now, everything is so much more expensive. I've realized if we're going to make ends meet, I've got to find a way to make more money. Apparently, she didn't want to prostitute herself, so at least she's in that boat. Don't prostitute yourself, by the way. In suburban Minneapolis, Michelle Egan drives 35 minutes twice a week to sell plasma to cover her son's preschool tuition. After leaving a $75,000 a year paralegal job to care for him, her husband's $90,000 a year job is not enough, and their credit card balances have risen. 90 grand's not enough, honey. Lax regulations allow people to donate twice weekly. The United States now supplies 70%. The United States supplies 70% of the world's plasma. So our people, you're living, they're farming you. Really? The United States ships out $6.2 billion worth of plasma from its own people in 2024. Now you can add 30% of that. We're literally shipping our plasma, so we're draining our living stock like we're cattle. Many centers are run by a handful of pharmaceutical companies. It's like a drug dealer. Once they have you there, you keep coming back. There's little research on the long-term health effects, though some studies show regular donors experience decrease in certain proteins and antibodies. The health consequences remain unclear. So, that's fucking crazy. Yeah, that is fucking crazy. That means that our plasma is going to like India and other countries. So they're literally sucking the blood from you. They are literally sucking the blood from you to keep alive, to sustain your life and living. And they're making obscene profits. So they could literally tone their profits down 20%, and we would all have enough money to have our lives back. But the super rich would have to lose maybe only 10% of their money. 130 a week. Damn, man. Switzerland to vote on capping its population at 10 million. German general prepares his country for war. And the president defends his ape video. Oh, Jesus Christ. Americans with higher incomes are starting to fall behind on payments. Rising debt levels and more missed payments pushed financial stress to the highest level ever recorded. As more Americans fall behind on their mortgages and credit card payments, a new report sheds light on how financial stress is spreading beyond the lowest income borrowers. While credit counseling agencies typically help low-income people restructure their debt and avoid bankruptcies, now people who earn higher income have been walking through the doors, according to the National Foundation for Credit Counseling. The average client seeking to help from credit counseling agencies across the country is now about $70,000 a year, with unsecured debt levels now approaching $35,000 per person, or half of their annual income, according to the NFCC. Before the pandemic, the typical client enrolled in counseling made about 40 grand a year and carried 10 grand in debt. roughly a quarter of their income. Now they're making 70 grand a year, holding $35,000 to $40,000 at the highest level ever. Student loan debt is the number one debt that everyone has. According to this chart right here, mortgages make up 4% of your income. Auto makes up 5%. Credit card makes up 9%. Student loans makes up 17.5% of average income. Together, 37% of average delinquency is coming from that type of debt. Those just right there. That's not including insurance of any kind or living expenses or rent. So the average individual after their paycheck is spending 68% of their money on rent and utilities. How do you like that? The average American is 110% expending. So when they get paid, they have to spend 110% of what they make. So the average American's, let's say the average American makes $1,000 in a paycheck, you'd have to have $1,100 to make the difference. So the average American is living beyond their means by about $100 per paycheck, it looks like. So that would be what, $200 a month, give or take? Well, depending on 10% per paycheck. Yeah, so yeah, you're right. Federal Reserve Bank of New York shows that U.S. household income or household debt in some form of delinquency rose 4.8% in the last quarter, the highest since 2017. Lenders can start reporting loans as delinquent past 30 days. Many banks and analysts have played down that increase to return to pandemic norms, but federal data shows it's worsening, and delinquencies are on the same trajectory as 2008 financial crisis. 13% of those who took out Federal Housing Administration mortgages are not current on their loans. So 13% of people with mortgages are in default. That means 13% of the housing market. An increase from last year, according to a report from ICE, the financial service system, not the other one. FHA loans are typically geared towards first-time buyers. There's been a big increase in FHA loans entering foreclosure, just like the 2008 crisis. I hope these fuckers I hope it's worse. We need prices to drop 50%. The data runs counter to other signs of economic strength. The Bureau of Labor Statistics say that we have reported strongest job growth in more than a year last month, and consumer spending rose to 2.7%. Now, of course, that is before they just dropped 900,000 fucking jobs. So, by the way, they said that our job growth was huge, but then they cut 900,000 jobs after saying that. So it's not. It's terrible. Still, credit counselors say the economic fragility developed within many households. Several nonprofit counseling agencies, including Consolidated Credit and Money Management International, reported double-digit enrollment increase last year. These agencies provide one-on-one financial reviews and structured repayment programs in which creditors reduce interest rates and consolidated debts. In many cases, accounts in these managed plans are often reported as current rather than delinquent, muting signs of strain. They're saying about 60% of households can't pay their bills effectively. So, MAGA calls for Pam Bondi's registration or resignation, and DOJ is accused of spying on many members of Congress. As you know, several members of Congress and the Senate were allowed to see the Epstein files unredacted. Then Pam Bondi had her little ledger. She opened it, and it showed that she had the search histories of those computers from these senators in Congress. At the hearing, Yeah. If housing costs, you see, this is the thing though. And okay, so getting back to the housing market. So this is the thing about it. The housing market, if it does not decrease in value, the younger generations will never own a home. And so this is the issue. And I've heard a lot of people say that. And this is the issue we have to think to ourselves. Do we want the next 2 generations to not be able to afford homes? I'm a millennial, and I'm not even talking about me. I've already resigned to the fact I'll never own a home because of this. I already have resigned to that because I've been chasing the dragon for 15 years, right? And frankly speaking, it ain't happening unless prices stop climbing and fall, frankly speaking. The other younger generations dealing with AI coming up and the lack of jobs coming up, it's very easy to see that it's going to be nearly impossible for them unless they're all on OnlyFans or they're content creators making fucking $100,000 a year off of that and doing side gigs to ever survive. So the next 2 generations are fucked because the previous generations wanted their houses to keep getting more valuable. Now, I understand many people's homes have gone from the value. So since Trump's first presidency, many people's homes have doubled in value. But you have to understand that that value is not real. That value is made up because the houses were kept off the market artificially by corporations that bought the homes. So banks and homes would buy, in a year collectively 400,000 small or single family homes. And then they would only put 100,000 on the market. They would restrict the others and it would jack the prices up. Then on top of that, to compound the problem, refugees and illegal immigrants, they didn't have to use credit to get into these homes. So whereas you and me as an American, I have to play by the rules and use my credit score to get into a home. Illegal aliens and refugees don't have to use their credit score to get into a home. And illegal aliens, if they're in blue states, they just look the other way. So my generation, the millennials, it was stacked against me the whole time. We had refugees taking the houses, illegal aliens taking the houses, banks and corporations taking the houses and then restricting them. So not only taking them, but also permanently keeping them off the market to raise prices. You guys got a big gain. So like my grandmother that's 96, her house is worth, 350 grand. It was 120. Fantastic. But for the next 2 generations, that fucks them. That fucks the children. That fucks your children and your grandchildren. So you're fucking your grandchildren. So you say, well, my house doubled in value. Wonderful. But that gain that you made, that artificial gain, your house should have gone up in value maybe 10, 15%, not 50 to 75%. So that is taking away from the ability to keep it that high, is taking away from the ability for my daughter and her children to ever have a home. Ever. That's ruined that. That's why they're building luxury apartments, because these companies, they're not stupid. They already know you're never going to buy a home. You can't do it with prices like that because people wanted, well, I want my house to be double in value. Yes, but now everybody has to live in a shitty fucking suck my dick apartment because of this shit. So we'll never be able to have land or a home or fucking be able to sit there and put the screen door on. We'll have to call maintenance. We'll never be able to learn that shit. We'll never be able to have a tree on our yard and cut it down or plant a tree or anything like that. And so why is that? We won't be able to have a garden because we're going to be living in a fucking box, an apartment on a 3rd floor that costs $19.75 to $26.50 a month, depending on where you're at. Oh, but it's got foosball in the basement. Who fucking gives a shit, right? It's ridiculous. And so I understand the older generations will have to take a hit on the value of your home. Absolutely, yes. But you will have to sacrifice for the good of the younger generations. And if you're unwilling to do that, then you're not a good steward of the fucking world that was given to you. And that's just the bottom line. It's a moral aspect of it. Well, we're talking about losing money. Yeah, that's correct. We are talking about losing money. We're talking about your home values decreasing in lieu. So you're going to lose money so that the other 2 generations can have what you obtained and had for decades. That's the realities of the situation. There's not a third option here. It's either you sit on a higher value home and you die with a house that cost $100,000 that's worth $1 million. You cash out, and a lot of it goes to death tax. And then most of your kids will probably live in an apartment, not buy a house. And then someone named Pablo Juarez that's an illegal will get that house. When my grandmother at 96 finally passes away, my mother and her kids won't get the house. It's going to be split 3 ways. Someone from Burma will get the house because we have the largest Burmese population in the country. So we have a lot. And why? Because refugees don't need credit scores. They get $100,000 towards the purchase of a home because they came over here on a floating fucking door. So now the refugee gets to come in and say, oh, your grandfather had this house built in 1962. Whole life and a grandchild's life was lived there. Now, can't afford it because it costs too much. So sell it. The kids get the money split. They'll be living in apartments. So where the fuck are they going to go with a house? Can you buy a house with $108,000? No. So what are you going to do, right? Well, that home will go to a refugee. They will live where your pets are buried, frankly speaking. And what do we get to do? We get to live a less fortunate life. That means no land. That means no home or deed. And that means no way to structure yourself outside of the fucking matrix is what that means. Land, owned home land, allows you to cut yourself off from the rest of the planet if you see fit. If you have the ability. If I had, 22 acres of land and a house, I would be able to grow food, have chickens, turkeys, ducks, and cattle, raise them, butcher them, get the milk, eggs, learn how to make cheese. I could do all that with the land. In many cases, I would need less trips to the grocery store, if any. I would be able to do certain things. I could grow my own fruit trees. Fuck you, right? If I lived far south, I could have fucking pineapples and fucking oranges and shit. Really get exotic with it. But now the value of the land is too expensive. So I would say let's issue some homesteading. But nobody will do that because they want $1 million for 10 acres of land. That's not a sustainable model. You have to open up. You can't. That's the issue. Everything in this country, everything in this fucking country has to be restricted. The government must know. And no, you have to do the opposite. You have to open it up more. Say, here, I'm going to sell you 40 acres of unused land in Kansas. All you got to do is build a house out there. We'll give you the land for $10 an acre. I would be on that train. I'd put $400 in for land on that. I'd be like, okay, honey, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I have it. If I couldn't build land, I would have a farm out there, and I would put fruit trees up. Fruit trees and bees and butterflies. I wouldn't do the honey shit. I would put bees' nests out on the periphery of the land. Every fucking where. Millions of them. I would have fruit trees, apples, and fucking other things that my wife enjoys. Peaches and apricots. That's what you... Not it be like peaches. I like apricots. Nectarines, thank you. And so it'd have to be down in Florida or Alabama or Texas. Whatever it is, yeah, then you have land tax. You can't, and that's the thing. This system is not conducive to average people surviving. Persimmons. You know, I've never actually eaten a persimmon. That's fucked up. No, I think I have in a pie once, maybe. Yeah, I don't know, but What if it tasted like a nectarine?
I doubt that it does.
What if it did?
I doubt that it does. It sure doesn't smell.
What's that one I gotta try? I haven't. A radish. That's the one.
Yeah, radish doesn't.
Yeah, I've never actually eaten a full radish, like bit into it or like had a big slice of a radish. Yeah, and that's the thing. The United States, we just need to get the government out of stealing all of our money. But nobody wants to do it because everybody keeps saying that well, you're an American, you live off the government tit, which by the way, I work. But it's not you living off the government tit. The government lives off your tit. The nectarine tree. I'm telling you, Michigan peaches. My wife loves peaches, and she still hasn't eaten a Michigan peach, and they say they're the best in the world. Next year, I'm telling you. And they're only okay for a certain couple of weeks or whatever. Let's see. European leaders wonder if they can ever trust America again. Oh, no. AI insiders are sounding the alarm about AI taking everybody's jobs. We already talked about that. And money traps are hidden cameras at Jeffrey Epstein's, suggesting that the Department of Justice also has videos of some of the sick shit the Epstein people did. Scientists have spotted a Soviet Union lander that's been missing for 60 years on the moon. Is that what that is? Or is that in America? Or in the world, I'm sorry. And woman arrested for setting fire to Los Angeles Islamic Center. Really? You didn't give her a medal? Anyway, 2 Navy ships collide in the waters near South America. Israeli soldiers accused of using Polymarket to bet on Israeli strikes. And eyewitness video captures mysterious crafts hovering over El Paso, upending the party balloon theory, saying that we shot down something with a laser. That's fucked up. And MAGA dad shoots daughter because she insulted Trump. Gee, what a fucking psycho. Killed her, too. Texas dad kills his own daughter after an argument about Trump. Man, what a retard. A Texas man will not face charges. Why? Really? A Texas man, that's what I heard too, fight. A Texas man will not face charges after gunning down his daughter after they got into a heated argument about Trump. Lucy Harrison, who was visiting from the UK, died of her wounds after the 23-year-old was shot in the chest at her father's home in Prosper, located 35 miles north of Dallas. I'll tell you what. Her dad, Chris Harrison, who moved to the United States when his daughter was a child, admitted during an inquest that he was an alcoholic who relapsed and drank 3 glasses of wine on the day of the shooting. Lucy's death was initially being investigated as manslaughter, but no criminal charges were brought against the father after a grand jury decided against indicting him. Why? What? Really? Because she insulted Trump? Gee, I hate fucking people, I swear to God. She was traveling to the U.S. with her boyfriend, Sam Littler, who later told a court the dad and daughter had a big argument about Trump a few days before he was set to be inaugurated for the second term. Chris and Lucy frequently butted heads about her father's conservative leanings, particularly that he purchased a Glock a few years earlier. The argument started when Lucy pressed her father about an unspecified hypothetical scenario regarding a woman who had been sexually assaulted. How would you feel if the girl in that situation and I had been sexually assaulted? Well, apparently he didn't care because he shot her. She asked her father. According to Littler, Chris shot back that it wouldn't upset him that much because he had 2 other daughters that were living with him. This guy needs to be brought up on charges. It was not immediately clear how Trump factored in the back and forth, but the callous response made the daughter quite upset. She stormed upstairs. Later that day, a few minutes before they were going to go leave to the airport, Oh, so she was about to leave. Lucy's father took her hand and led him to the bedroom on the ground floor of the home. 15 seconds later, he shot her, followed by her screaming from the wife. I remember running to the room, and Lucy was laying on the floor near the entrance to the bathroom, and Chris was just screaming just some nonsense. According to Chris's statement, the police, he had been watching the news and offered to show her his gun after a segment on gun violence. As I lifted the gun to show her, I suddenly heard a loud bang. I don't understand what happened. He said he had battled alcohol. So hold on a second. I'm going to go ahead and stop you right there. So you're telling me you got this fucking... So the daughter and the dad were arguing about politics. He said he would show her the gun. Obviously, that's a threat. That wasn't a nice thing. So then he gets shit-faced, and this cocksucker shoots his daughter, whether it's by accident or on purpose. And you're not going to indict this fuck. What if it was if it was an accident, it would still be considered manslaughter. So if I was like, hey, honey, and I was waving a loaded gun at you, hey, look at this, bang, and it shoots you in the head, I'm going to go to jail for 7 fucking years. Because I was an irresponsible retard that was flipping a gun at my wife. So this guy does something similar while he's shit-faced and no charges brought. Oh, he's suffered enough. Fuck you. Yeah, what the fuck is that shit? So it's okay. So what? She insults Trump and all of a sudden, well, that's okay. Just get rid of her. Like, I don't understand. Like, you're turning into liberals now. Like, that fucking bullshit. Like, that is like the same thing a liberal, like, well, she insulted. That would be like saying retard and you get to kill me. What the fuck? Like, Jesus Christ. So, like, I don't like my cousin Caitlyn either. But you know what? I don't want her dead because she hates Donald Trump. And me because I fucking voted for him twice. It's not my fucking problem. You know what? And frankly speaking, I had every right. Fuck Kamala Harris. That bitch sucked. Well, it would be the first woman president. It doesn't make her good. The first woman president could be a female Adolf Hitler. You don't know that. Well, I doubt it. Yeah, you doubt it, right? Yeah, just like people doubted Trump was a fucking pedo on the fucking Epstein files, right? But here we are. So I don't know what you want from me. You know what I mean? There's the truth, and then there's gobbledygook backing of a man or a woman in this particular case. So, former Obama official Kathy Rumler resigns from Goldman Sachs. She was on the Epstein files. So that's how it is in America. In America, you're on the Epstein files, and all of a sudden, you just resign, and you lose your job. That's the only problem? Huh. Cookies recalled over mistaken ingredient that can cause choking. I'll have to make a video on that. And James Vanderbeek, in his last photo when he died, is seen with Alfonso Ribeiro, Carlton, the Carlton dance. Apparently Alfonso Ribeiro really is the king of fucking entertainment in every way, shape, and form. And Michelle Obama reveals she got 10 piercings the other day. Why? Why 10? Why not 12? Why not 6? Why not 3? Would it make you off-center? CNN's ratings fall to the lowest ever. I talked about that yesterday. Down 70%, almost 66% from 2022, I think it was. And that is where we're at now with the news, it looks like. So, Jon Stewart's guests reveal how awful woke chat host was and says it was the worst program he had ever appeared on. So Jon Stewart was a dickhead. I could see that. I could definitely say that. And Sydney Sweeney strips off her top and is sitting there with her tits hanging out practically. And who's this South African golf legend? I'll tell you what, South Africa's in free fall. South Africa, yeah, he does have the move. South Africa, that country's fucked. I'm sorry, man. Your people are fucked down there. I don't know what to do about that shit. I wish I could help you, but man, South Africa, you have fallen away. Speed run the news. Africa's continuing to be a shithole. Europe is continuing to be a bunch of pussies. Asia's relying on money, and China wants to invade Taiwan. South America wants to work with the United States, but communism is trying to rear its ugly head. Donald Trump doesn't like the emissions, greenhouse gas shit mentioned in the Epstein files 5,400 times. Russia and Ukraine, eventually Russia will win and Ukraine will cede territory. And 7,000 deaths reported from protests, a protest some saying as high as 50,000. And we need to step it up on blowing up the Iranian government, but we're not, because we're gonna betray those people, because the United States betrays people when it comes to geopolitics. And it looks like we were going to help out the Iranian government. Now apparently that's somehow turned into a nuclear proliferation deal. So it's getting more retarded by the day, and it makes me sick to see that we're abandoning those people. And God help us all. Maybe the Iranians are right. We really are the great Satan. Holy fuck. Thank you, Dana. Anyway, so that's the news of the day. Don't know what to tell you. The Epstein files are getting worse. Go onto Twitter and look up Epstein files, and be prepared to throw up a little, because never seen quite such demonic bullshit. The country and away from people. I'm glad I'm in the end in the country. Damn straight, my friend. The government for sure is. Yeah, this is a sick shit. What's going on? What's up, Wendy? So anyway, that's the live stream right there. I've been on for an hour and 41 minutes. It is 10 o'clock even, and I will not be on live stream tonight or tomorrow for the weekend.
Tomorrow. You won't be on tonight?
I won't be on tomorrow or Saturday, right?
Probably or Sunday.
Or Sunday. I might go live one day.
Yeah.
I might go live one day on the weekend. We'll see what happens there, but I'm going to be away, so that's what we do. So that's where we're going. So don't forget, I'll still make videos, though. Don't get me wrong. And I actually have on this page right now, I know this is going to sound insane, I have 36 videos to upload tonight. I've got 12 waiting right now for me to put up all the shit for it. And I'll try to do that as quick as possible. And I'm going to put up 36 videos tonight. So, yeah, there we go. Sorry I've been behind. Sorry I've been behind on the news quite a bit on YouTube. I just, and I really have to do other stuff on that one page. What the fuck is wrong with me? I need to add music. I've got 2 videos on deck just to put up. It'll be, well, 1. I'll make it 1. Why not? Anyway, so follow me. Yeah, I'm still going to have videos. Follow me on TikTok. Hello America, or not hello, that's gone. Follow me on TikTok, Sup America and Sup America 2. Follow me on X, Sup America. Oh, happy birthday, Katie. Follow me here. Subscribe here. Don't forget to subscribe. And also follow me on my other YouTube channel, Wu Tai 1 Nostalgia. I will put videos up there. I will start gaming on there. I just haven't had time because I've been just doing all kinds of shit lately. I've been driving my kid to college, all this other shit. But Wu Tai 1, it's a verified channel here on YouTube. I'm just not monetized. I want you to follow me because I want to get monetized. I'm never going live on TikTok ever again until they bring, if they bring my big page back, I'll go live on TikTok again. Otherwise, TikTok's live stream is ran by a bunch of psychos. It is like, I will never go live on TikTok ever again because of the fact that they are too harsh. And I have seen time and time and time and time and time again. I'm even still getting paid collaborations. I represent Everstar, one of the largest marketing agencies in the U.S. I viewed your TikTok and really liked your content. So I'd like to offer you a collaboration with our brand Right Wing Naturals. My Sup America email. What account is that attached to?
An old one. I think it was your initial Suck America, but I think it says Hello America.
Like they've messaged me twice. I'm gonna say, what account would that be? I have more than one. I had one banned at 330,000 because of TikTok being trash. How can I help you? Okay, there we go. Anyway, yeah, so that's what we're doing here. Don't forget to subscribe to all this other type of shit and follow me on all those platforms. But follow me on Wu Tai. Yeah, getting banned on TikTok is very easy. I still to this day don't even know what I did. I have no fucking clue what I did. I responded to them and they said I was banned for community guidelines. And I'm like, okay, can you elaborate? Which community guidelines? Because there are 9 million of them. And then they said, well, it's integrity and authenticity. And I said, oh, that's banana, and you don't even do anything. It's ridiculous. And I asked him, I was like, well, what part of that did I violate? And they said, we're done talking. And I'm like, so you're not going to tell me why you banned me. You're just doing it. What's up, Jay? How you doing, Jay? By the way, subscribe to J. Arbuckle. You caught me right at the end. So when I asked TikTok why they banned me, they did not give me a reason. And they told me to fuck myself. And I told them I'm working with people that are trying to work with senators to put information in for like a Supreme Court. They don't care. They don't give a fuck at all. Like, fuck me. It doesn't matter. They have muted the sound on the president's videos. Like, so TikTok has muted the sound on Donald Trump's videos. This is what we're dealing with here. This is, they won't answer me. Won't let me appeal. Yeah, they just ignore. I once had him ignore me. It was like for 39 days once. My colleague forwarded contact information because you're interested in hearing about Fourth Wall. Free platform that allows creators to design and sell products and merch. That would have helped months ago when I actually had a fucking page. Anyway, so that's how it is. So don't forget to subscribe, share, like, hit the notification button. I'll still be making videos, and tonight I will be putting up a fuckload of content on this page on YouTube. Sorry it'll be so much. I don't care if it gets views or not. I hope it does. If the big political account got banned for absolutely no reason. That is why I don't go live, because 2/3 of the violations that would have gotten me banned or did over the long, because I know it's a point system, 2/3 of them came from live streams. Like, I would do a live stream and have 5 violations, and I'm like, so me and my wife were discussing it, and it's like, well, if I spend as much time, I know I won't grow as fast here on YouTube, but YouTube is overall better. Yeah, what would happen is you would have a liberal came on that didn't like me like 2 years ago, and they would just until you were banned. And I'm like, what the fuck? Anyway, so don't forget to subscribe, share, like, hit the notification button. If you don't like me, block me and go fuck yourself. And we'll be back. Follow JR.